TUFF SHIFT. Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of TUFF SHIFT, the podcast where we unpack all that goes into surviving the job and living the dream. I am your host, Patrick Murtagh, and I tell you, I don't know where that came from. I tell you guys every week that I've been doing this for 105 years, and I'm 105 years old magically, and that's fun, and that's what it feels like sometimes. But the truth is that we're actually coming up on my 20 years in this industry, of in and out of the industry, and all the variations and all the different ways I've worked in hospitality and around hospitality. 20 years. That's a long time. And it is very taxing on your body when you've been doing it for 20 years of shaking drinks and carrying trays and clearing dishes and moving tables. I have this thing where I've told you this before, where I have this like Magilla gorilla thing to where I'm like, I can lift things. And it's just like, you are too fabulous of a queen to be having that straight male behavior. But I do it. And and then I pay for it the next day. 20 years of tough shifts and difficult customers and great customers and bad food and great food and no family meal and amazing family meals, and connecting with some truly amazing human beings behind the scenes. In that 20 years, one of the biggest gifts, I would say, or benefits or blessings, has been what this industry has provided me in both preserving, practicing, and in many ways improving my Spanish. For those of you who don't know, I am indeed half Latino. I know Patrick Murtagh don't sound like it. I know Patrick Murtagh don't look like it, but what does a Latino look like? Which is really funny because everyone poses that question. And then when I tell them I'm Latino, they're like, that's funny, you don't look Latino. It's like, isn't it interesting how that works? But it has been a wonderful blessing, especially now with the generation. I'm the product of 4 immigrants, 2 from Ireland and 2 from Central America, El Salvador and Mexico. Now that generation is gone, and their dominant language was Spanish, and so it was very beneficial for me to be able to use Spanish to communicate with them and understand my grandparents in a very special and deeper way. It is a gift that I have, still being in this industry, to be able to practice with my coworkers, who it is a godsend that they get a break. They speak English, they're learning English, they're at all different stages, but they get a break from constantly having to translate, and they get to speak to me in their native tongue, and I get to know them in the way that I knew my grandparents, and in a deeper level that a lot of my coworkers just will never get to experience them that way. Not that they don't connect, and not that they don't, exchange pleasantries and have conversations, but it is truly a gift, and it's a way that I can honor the legacy that is my grandparents, the heritage, the blood that runs through my veins. And it's a gift for them. It's just so wonderful to get to partake, and even in many cases learn more about my culture and be more exposed to my culture. And I couldn't be more grateful for that. And I talk about here how the walls of the hospitality industry are held up and by and on the backs of artists, performers, singers, dancers, directors, you name it. And that is very true. For the most part, very, very true. I am not denying that. I'm not taking that back. But if we're being a little extra honest, the truth of the matter is that this industry is the walls are held up in this industry by the work and on the backs of immigrants. This entire industry. They are our chefs, they are our food prep, they are our line cooks, they are our porters, they are our bussers, our bartenders, our barbacks, our managers, our waiters, our hosts. You name it. You name it. This entire industry is better because of the work of immigrants who step in to the roles that they step into in this industry. And for the most part, in my experience with my coworkers who come from other places, they have more than just one job. They have at least three jobs that they're working nonstop. I had one busser who I just adored. And again, because I could relate to him and speak to him in Spanish, I got to know more about him. He was a little grumpy sometimes. But and not everyone could appreciate why. And it's like, he's working three jobs. He's working 7 days a motherfucking week. And he's never late. He is nothing short of impeccable in his appearance. There's not a hair out of place. There's not a stain on his uniform. There's not a wrinkle to be found. He does the work of three people, which is why I always, when my bussers tell me that like I work like them, that is a badge of honor. They're like, we can always count on you. We know you're not like the other waiters. You're not like the other bartenders that wait for us to come in, because like I know they're working. I know they're working their asses off. And your barbacks and your bussers are not your personal assistants. They are there to assist the entire restaurant. And yes, they are there to help the wait staff and the bartenders primarily, but managers pull them away. Managers send them on these tasks, and that's what they have to answer to. And it's the way that they're treated sometimes, it's not correct. It's not right. It's not fair, considering the amount of work they're doing. And like I said, working multiple jobs and 7 days a week. And I was talking to this coworker one time, and I was like, "Oh, what are you doing after work? Blah blah blah, all those things." And he was like, "Oh, I'm so excited. I'm just gonna have as many beers as I want after work, and because tomorrow's my day off, and I'm gonna take advantage of that." And I was like, "Oh my God, congratulations! Can you like? I thought you worked 7 days a week. I'm so glad that you have one day to yourself where you can just sit back." And he goes, "Oh no, I do work 7 days a week. My day off is when I only have to work one of my jobs. And that's one day a week where he is only going to one job." And I think it's important that we unpack that a little bit, and we talk about, something that I have known to be true for many years, that I've grown up knowing to be true, that I have witnessed and experienced in this industry, especially every single day that I go into work. There's this thing about how immigrants, especially now, we need to talk about this. Band-Aids off. If you don't like it, go to your straight male podcasters who feed you the hate and lies and vitriol that you live off of. The fact that there's this discussion, and there's been this discussion of lazy immigrants who are taking advantage of the system and leeching off the system and living off the system, and not paying taxes and da 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 da. I've known the opposite of that to be true for a long time, and I only think it's been in the last 2-ish years that we've actually started talking about the amount that immigrants contribute to our economy, to our workforce, the taxes they pay. The amount that they pay is incredible. And for most of my coworkers that I've experienced, however they got those documents that allowed them to work on the books, that allowed them to get a paycheck, and from that paycheck, taxes were paid to Social Security, to unemployment, to Medicare, to all those things, to Medicaid, whatever, to all those things. And because of how they got those documents, they will never see a penny of those contributions. And we're just talking about that now, and this has been true for years, but we've been feeding the lie that they're leeching the system, that they're taking our tax dollars, and our tax dollars are supplementing their lives. That's bullshit. It is a lie, and we have the numbers now. And I'm bringing this up right now because of what is going on, and I am far behind in voicing this publicly on this platform. I am disgusted by what is going on in this country, and the fact that people are being taken from their homes, people are being taken from work, people who are being taken from their immigration hearings, people are being taken off the streets and just disappeared. They're being treated like animals. They're being treated less than human. It is disgusting. It is disgusting. These people are the backbone of the hospitality industry. They're working multiple jobs and knowing that they're not going to get back as much as they're putting into it, but they're getting what they need to support themselves, to support their families here, and to support their families back home. Let that sit in. That's a lesson in humility. That's a lesson in gratitude. All right? And I need you all to hear that. And I need you to know that what is going on is not right. It is awful. It is fucking awful. And it is disgusting. I know this is not a funny pre-shift because it's not funny what's going on. Immigrants built this country. Well, people stolen from their lands built this country, and immigrants became a part of that equation. So let's be truthful there. They are the backbone of not just our hospitality industry, but our food industry, our food supply of our entire workforce. And this needs to stop. And you need to say something. And you need to reach out to your representatives. We need to knock this bullshit off. It is disgusting and inhumane. And if you voted for it, please leave. Don't listen to any more of this podcast. Unsubscribe, kiss my ass, whatever you need to do, because you found the wrong one. I am not the one. All right? And that's what I got to say about that. Now, I also want to share something that made me really proud of what it is to have Mexican heritage, to be a part of that glorious culture and community that is Mexico. I saw a reel on Instagram that really made me cry. And I sent it to my sister-in-law, and she was in tears. And this reporter in Mexico was talking to the president of Mexico and asking her what she thought of a post that Viola Davis had made about the fact that Mexico sent aid to the state of Texas, sent people to help in the recovery of lives and unfortunately, people who were taken by the floods. And brought up, Viola Davis pointed out that this is a red state that would not have done the same for Mexico. And with everything that's being said about Mexicans, about immigrants, all these things, that she still chose to help, that the people of Mexico chose to help and to be of service to their neighbors. And the president, I mean, just without batting an eyelash, responded, that's what it is to be Mexican. We stand up. We stand in solidarity with our community, with our neighbors, with our people. When there is a problem, Mexicans show up to help people out. That is who we are. That is the essence of what it is to be Mexican. So it was never a question to not be of help, to not help those in need. And I could not be more proud to know that that is the place, that is the land that gave birth to my grandfather, and some of that blood running through my veins. That's this week's Tough Shift. I'm not going to apologize if it was too intense for you, because it's real. It's real. You may not have liked it, but it's sincere. All right. So let's get on to some fun topics, like today's guest, who is someone that I absolutely adore. And you're wondering, like, Sean, you adore like almost all of your guests. Yeah, I do. And it's really fun because I'm in the place where all my guests are mostly people that I know and that I've worked with, and I get to choose to bring them here. I get to choose to have them share their stories and their gifts and their talents with you. So yeah, I fucking adore today's guest. She is somebody that I have worked with in theater in San Francisco. She's someone that I've worked with in theater in New York. We have actually worked at the same restaurants in New York, not at the same time, but our paths have crossed there and in so many places. She was in the front row of my very first time stepping onto a cabaret stage at Don't Tell Mamas for one of those bringer shows. That's a trap. It's a pyramid scheme. But she was there along with the cast of the show we were doing, Jekyll and Hyde, at the Westchester Broadway Theater. She has been someone who has always been a cheerleader of mine, a supporter of mine, and right back at her because there is so much to cheerlead for her. She has done pretty much everything an actor can do. She's done theater, regional tours, New York City. She's been on cruise ships. She's done TV and film. She was most recently, maybe not most recently, but recently enough to where I'm like, holy fuck, that's amazing. She was in season 2 of The Gilded Age. She's been on Law and Order because if you're in New York and you haven't done Law and Order, were you ever really in New York? She's been on The Equalizer, FBI, to name a few. Her voiceover work, she's been on Pokemon. Like she's literally done it all. And she's a headliner who has sold out venues all across this country with her one-woman shows. And she's got one coming up in San Francisco at the Hotel Nico that we're going to talk about because there's so much to talk about with this one. And she also she's got stories. If I got stories, she's got stories. And like me, she is a storyteller. What I adore most about her and what I celebrate most about her is she is someone who consistently puts the work in. And her resume is evident of all the rewards that come from her hard work. Please welcome to the show my friend and soon to be your friend, the one and only Lianne Marie Dobbs.
Thank you,
Hello.
Sean. Hi. Oh, thank you for what you brought up at the top. It's very, very, very important. Thank you. There's a lot of beautifully hardworking people that we are completely dissembling their lives with, and I wish yeah, wish I knew how to take action other than just yeah, doing what you're doing, spreading the
Just
love and opening eyes. That's, I think, yeah. Thank you for doing that.
thank you, and thank you for I
Mhm.
know the work you've put in this industry and the lives that you've come across and the stories that
Oh.
you've heard and witnessed and experienced with people.
Mhm.
It's so funny because we did work at the same place, and I when when I say your name, I don't say
Uh-huh.
this to you, and maybe I should start saying it to you. But when you came back to that restaurant for a brunch, and
Yes.
I'm not sure if I was your waiter or whatever, but I obviously went over and said hello to you. Maybe I was your waiter. But there was a chef in the kitchen, Chef Memo, and he adores you. And he was like, you know Liang? ¿Tú conoces Liang? Liang? And every time I would come to work, he's like, y dime cómo está Liang. ¿Has visto Liang? ¿Qué tal Liang? Cuéntame de Liang. So
Oh,
if I see
I
your name, I say Liang in the way that Memo, who you clearly, not just with your beauty, but with your persona, left an imprint in his heart. So, and that was at least 10 years ago that happened, but I
oh
still
my
say your name
gosh.
that way.
I get along with chefs well. I
Yeah.
really do. Because I think I understand that I think sometimes there's a weird divide between the chefs and the servers. And I think when something goes wrong, they're not trying to do anything to me. They're just trying to keep the machine going. So if there's something that's gone wrong with all the love in the world, like acknowledge, I know, I'm interrupting you. May I, just with all the love, point out, I need something. I know it's not what you want to hear. Go ahead, grunt, but then can you do me a favor? And can you, just acknowledging that they have a constant race, at least the restaurants that I've been a server at have such high covers, such high volume, and so many celebrities come in that they hear a clock maybe even more than we do when they're on the line. So anyway,
100%. And
I'm glad that I
understanding.
remembered by those chefs. like
Exactly. And to your point,
locusts.
well, if Chef Memo is listening, but to your point about like acknowledging the stress that they're in and acknowledging that like just because it's coming at you doesn't mean it's directed at you. And people have a
Yeah,
right to be annoyed. I always say same thing as a bartender when it's like this just happened the other day.
yeah,
One of the nicest waitresses in the world. She's newer, and I just keep having to remind her like if I'm in the well and I have all these tickets in front of me, and you just come over and it's like, hi, can you put and it's like, first of all, don't ever do that to people,
right.
regardless of what
No,
they're doing. That's a lot of energy coming at once. But two, like, I'm measuring, I'm pouring, I'm measuring, and
right.
like, you
No. When
interrupt
I would
me,
walk
and
up
it's
to the
like,
line,
yeah,
I wait for them to talk to me. They address
yeah,
me. They see me, and usually I try to smile at them like,
I
right.
I
They
see
let me know
you
when they're not measuring to go, Leanne, yes. Yeah, wait for that moment. Yeah, wait for that moment. You know,
exactly.
it's hard for me to wait to talk, but I knew, wait to talk, wait to talk.
And that
Yes.
is a gift and treasure
Oh,
that is well received, and we are grateful for the people like you who wait to talk. wait to talk, because like this is your drink, and now I don't remember if I put in the
Yeah.
sweetener. I don't remember, and it's like now I have to start over, and you break my flow. But before we get off track, I
Yes,
want to
yes.
ask the very famous first question here. What
Mm-hmm.
was your gateway job into becoming a walking,
Oh, yes.
talking, singing, shuffle off to Buffalo stereotype of a performer surviving in the world of hospitality?
Yes. Okay. So my first job, literally the first shift I ever did, was the day that I graduated from San Francisco State University. And I literally went from walking across to get my um, degree straight to Macy's, and I worked for Clinique. Now I mentioned this because it was a great that I was like I didn't want to go into restaurant jobs, and so I was and they actually had an events team that was a makeup artist. So I did department store makeup art stuff for Clinique all over the Greater Bay Area. Then I moved to New York, and Clinique did not have an event team, and I didn't want to be full time department store, so I found a skincare company that I could go into, basically Bergdorf, Barney's, and Saks, whatever. When their full time person had a day off, they still needed somebody at that counter. So it was kind of the same thing where I a little bit could, only working a 5 hour shift was fine because like nobody's ever there right when the door opens for skincare. So anyway, I got laid off because January is very slow at Bergdorf's and Barney's and all that. And I applied for unemployment and they fought it. And I lost. So a friend of mine actually even went. I even had to go in person to attest. I had a hearing. I had a phone hearing and I had an in-person hearing. And the friend that went with me when I lost was the manager of Pastis. And he was one of
Mm.
my best friends and a fabulous character actor. Now doesn't act anymore. He's deep, deep, deep into opening major restaurants. Tim Myers. But he looked at me when I was devastated and said, Lianne, I think it's time you join the world of hospitality. Like, let's get you out of this like really toxic environment where people make up stories about you to try to keep you from getting unemployment. Not that that can't happen, but anyway, so he got me a job as a hostess at Pastis. How like
That's a
straight
place to
up New York
start.
is that? So that's where I started, was as a hostess. Because and he said to me, he actually wanted me to learn to be a server there. But Pastis, all of the Keith McNally restaurants have a very, very strict training program. Well,
Mm.
policy. You cannot work a lunch or a dinner shift with them until you have worked breakfast. And nobody wants to work breakfast. Even if you do get to take care of lovely people like Sarah Jessica Parker and Julianne Moore at breakfast, you still don't want to get there that early because you're an
No.
actor and 99% of us are not morning people. So he wanted me to train as a server because he said, you will make very good money here as a server, Liam, but you have to go through the, hazing basically. And I wouldn't do it. So I was a hostess at Pasties.
Well,
And
especially too,
yes, so I
it's
right
not.
away saw lots of famous people. Right away, immediately, like it's like
Yeah,
right, boom, thrown in.
and there we go.
Anyway,
And it's not
and
just
there we
about
go.
being not a morning person, which we're famously not, but it's
Mm.
also in that time. It's like that's when we have to sign up for EPAs. That's when we have to be
Yes,
outside
and I
in the
was new to New York.
snow,
Yeah, yeah,
waiting to get to be seen. And
yes.
day shifts, even if it's a lunch shift, it was always I got filled with so much anxiety because like
Hmm.
every time I had a lunch shift, that was when the chorus call was in the morning for the men and
Yeah,
the this, and then there was this, and there was no more. You weren't going to be seen,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it was horrific. So like even any daytime shift, breakfast or lunch, sucks if you're trying to make it in theater in New York
yeah.
City.
And most people that were working the breakfast shifts while they were being trained, as servers or just yes, going through the hazing, they had second jobs because you don't nobody a couple dollars on the table feels okay for breakfast, but you're still putting in like they're shorter shifts, maybe like 6 hours. But the idea of my having to have a second job to fund the couple of months that I had to spend being a breakfast server, that just didn't make sense. Even though as a hostess, when I started, it was $12 an hour. And let me tell you, and I did have to have, I worked part time as a host at two places at the same time because
Hmm.
$12 an hour doesn't add up. But for some reason, it made better sense to me to have control over my schedule
Yeah.
at $12 an hour. um, rather than 5 breakfast shifts a week and somehow finding something else, whatever that was going to be. So anyway, pasties. Yep, yep,
That,
yep. The famous,
that's
the famous.
that's absolutely wonderful. And what was your what was your uh is there a tough shift of all the
Oh,
tough shifts
yes.
of all the time you spent that just kind of stands out among the rest and
Yeah.
you're just like, ah, I'm so glad that day is over and I never have to go back there again. Hey there, just checking in. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. And if you are, why not leave us a 5-star review and a comment or two wherever you're listening to this from? And don't forget to follow us on social media at TUFF SHIFT Podcast. That's TUFF Shift Podcast. Everywhere. Literally everywhere. And just a reminder, gratuity's not included, but tips are always welcome. And you can find our virtual tip jar at tuffshiftpodcast.com. That's TUFF Shift Podcast.com. All right, back to the show.
Well, yeah, what's funny is that, because I actually abruptly quit a very lucrative serving job that I had in 2017. So I haven't worked at a place like this in a while, to be honest. Now I work with private chefs mostly in homes, but what I remember from those crazy times, this is just, it's very me, are the lessons that I learned. So this horrible, horrible nightmare shift. I remember what my general manager, who back again was Tim Myers, the same manager who got me my first job, cut to, oh my gosh, like 8 years later. Yeah. So I opened a huge restaurant in meatpacking. I was a server at that point, and I went from being one of the everybody wanted to open this place because it was a celebrity chef that had won Top Chef season 3. So this is the beginning of Top Chef, when you really were like, we have to go to whatever restaurant this person owns. It was Chef Huyn, and he. So I opened it. I was on the serving team. I got very good, and I don't know, I'm not. Kind of like senior server. I would have the hardest sections of the restaurant, definitely. I had also, though, come from a background of being a host and a maitre d'. And our maitre d' was a former Victoria's Secret model, because meatpacking is very sceney. So
Right.
I never would have been originally selected to be their female maitre d'. They had it. Everybody that worked there, that worked the door, were actual working models. So, but this very cold, tall Victoria's Secret model, she got her foot trampled on by a model who was a guest in 5-inch spike stilettos, shattered the top of her foot, and suddenly they didn't have anybody that could be her. I forget why. I think the other maitre d' had a week off. Suddenly, it was just like bad timing. So Tim Myers pulls me aside and says, "Lianne, do you think you could step up and run this ship? We need somebody to run this ship." So I became, for about a year, their twice a week maitre d' of this 3-floor restaurant. And I remember when you're dealing with meatpacking, they're truly trying to create a scene. So they build the book so that the door explodes at about 9:00. And you have people, it's built into the book so that people, basically, there's not going to be a table for them. They're going to be waiting a minimum of an hour for their table for dinner. And you've got the elevator doors open, and you've got me and 5 models towering over me. And I see that there's no way that this is going to work. And so I'd done this for several weeks now. I was Saturday, because the other person was like, I'm not touching Saturdays. And I was trying to organize and come up with some sort of a plan, but you can't come up with a plan at this restaurant the way I would when I opened a restaurant for Mario Carbone, where the food is the celebrity. This place, it's a scene. And so you're saying that there's a plan, but there's not, because there's going to be people that walk out on you, that yell at you, that people that said that they were 4, but they couldn't get a party of 8, and they are going to demand. And the awful thing about being a maitre d' at a place like this is that everybody, you are keeping them from what they want, which is to be in the dining room around Derek Jeter and Tyra Banks and Leonardo DiCaprio. They want to be there and they want to eat and take selfies. I am keeping them from it, is what it's like. I am keeping them from it. And that's the problem, is that when you're a server and you've got somebody in a bad mood or upset about something being cold or something being wrong, you have the power to shift the energy and shift their evening.
100%.
You know, I don't have, when I see them, smart aleck, awful things would be said to me every time. And I don't see them have a great time. I never see them because it's a 3-floor restaurant. So I can't even do that. Well, how are you today? Like, I remember my favorite part of a Mario Carbone restaurant was being able to walk through and check in, but everything was on one floor. I literally can't do that with 3. So I was setting up for this night, and I started to shake because I knew how bad it was going to go. I knew how much awful energy, and you're stuck there. If I leave, none of those 19-year-old girls are going to know how. They don't say, they're literally aren't supposed to say anything. Like, I am I direct traffic. So you truly are stuck there, just getting anger. And I looked at Tim and I said, this is impossible. I can't do this. I can't have literally hundreds of people waiting 2 hours for their dinner reservation tonight. I can't do this. And so I also, though I didn't like that I had to do that. I didn't like that this is the book that I was looking at on Saturday nights. And he pulled me aside and he said, here's the thing, Lianne. We are the same as maids in somebody else's house. There are a lot of domestic servants that don't agree with the way that the people they work for raise their kids, manage their house, but they have to show up and do the tasks asked of them. Nobody asks if they agree with it. He goes, Lianne, because it doesn't matter that you and I don't agree with the way the reservation book is set up on a Saturday. I need to know right now, because we're about to have 1,400 people walk through that door. It was like 15 minutes to go. Can you do the tasks that the owner of this house is asking you to do? Or do you need to go home? I'll run the door and I'll see you again as a server tomorrow because you're an incredible server. And I said, I can't do that to you, Tim. He goes, stop. This is your general manager asking you right now. Can you do the task that the owner and I are asking you to do? If you can't, it's okay. I will be the maitre d' tonight and run this house for the owner the way he wants to, not the way you and I would like to. But I will do that for you if you need me to, as your GM. I took a walk. I said, can I take one walk around the block? And I came back in and I said, yeah, I can take it. And what I realized is I knew how awful, all the awful things that were going to be said to me. And I just had to go, can I take it tonight? And he was saying, check in yourself. Are you not able to take all of that nasty energy? I'll do it. So I did it. And it was a record-breaking night. We sat 1,200 people for dinner in the course of 5 hours. That does not count all of the people that ended up saying, fuck you, you fucking, the number of words that I would be called constantly was horrible. The number of people that would eat in the bar, I'm not even counting those. Like the people that just went, fucking forget it. Like, I hate you, and it's just very interesting because they didn't care about the people that left mad. They more cared about the people that were impressed by how many people are waiting to get in. The number of people that we were impressing by that outweighed their, and And then we would, I mean, the amount of things that we would comp, and that's what I couldn't see as a maitre d', but I saw as a server. I mean, I would like, all right, we waited. Oh, well, you know what? We're going to show you why nobody would get up from this table right now. Okay. And boom, 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 comp, 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 comp. And when I was a server, I was very good friends with my GM, like I've mentioned, and he trusted me implicitly. And that's part of what made me able to be a server there for so long, even though it's not my scene, is, that they trusted me. If I said I had to do this, I had to do that, I had to do this, they basically no questions asked. And when I quit, finally, it's because at that point, the GM that replaced him and the GM replaced that both came up learning from him. Then comes GM number 4 during my 5 years there, newbie, and he couldn't stand those of us that knew more about how to keep this ship running than he did. And I wasn't, I could, sorry, dude, I really know how to keep this ship running, but my advice wasn't wanted. Anytime I wanted a company thing, it was an argument. It was a pushback. And I'm like, I have to go back. I just need you to sign off on this. Can I just have it keep code? I never had to do that with my first GMs. And, so my TUFF shift, that's so funny. I wish I had like more specific stories, but I remember how I felt. I remember shaking the whole night and just literally standing there and just the gush of awfulness that would just come again and again and again and not seeing any turnaround. But what Tim said to me was really
at less money. Like you're getting less money. Like
yes, because I don't get tips.
It's not that it's okay. Not that you can slap me around just because you're tipping, but it's a little more bearable knowing that there's going to be a compensation. But when you're doing that and you're the we've had hosts on here before, you're the first person that they say you are either their first friend or their first enemy in this restaurant. And people, because the world is full of grown-up toddlers, go at what's in front of them. And they don't take 2 minutes to think, or 2 seconds, I should say, to think like, this is not this person's doing. This person is not doing this against me. And they don't go to who they should go to. Like, you know what? I apologize. I'm coming at you real hard right now, and I apologize. So can I speak to your manager? Because that's who I should be, if it's warranted. But also, like, chill the fuck out. Like, if you can afford to go to a place like this, like, you're doing something right in your life. So maybe just go to the bar and have a drink.
Go have a drink. I mean, and I'll tell anybody, don't ever go to any of these restaurants that have exclusive clubs on their rooftop. Don't go there on a Saturday. What are you thinking? Nope. Like, you're not. No, because also, like, part of when I say running the house the way the owner wants to is there's also certain tables that I am not supposed to seat anybody at, because a place with a exclusive club, the people that have bought table service for a group of 10 at a couple of grand, there's tables that are going to be held for them. That's not just the one I worked at. That's all of the places like that in the meatpacking district. And so it doesn't matter that you yell at me like, why can't you see me there? I can't. And all I can say is I can't. But also part of me wants to go, did you read anything about this restaurant? There is an exclusive club upstairs. And of course, I don't like it, but it also kind of makes logical sense. That's what this place is about, is getting access to the rooftop club and to be sitting next to, like, if you read that Jay-Z and Beyonce came in last week, and if you read that Kate Middleton came in the week before, and you read, like, then don't you think that we save tables for them to just show up? We do. And I'm saying it now a little with actually understanding how the big picture of the business, again, I don't like it, but I was yelled at horribly. And regarding tips, when I was younger and was a host to male maitre d's, I saw them be palmed money all 100%. The time. Do you know that in my years of being the Saturday maitre d', I was never palmed money? And like, I wear suits, like I come strong. Like, I don't look like a girl who can't give you a handshake. Nobody shook my hand.
That's intimidating to specifically straight men. That is, they are their egos
Uh,
cannot handle it.
yeah,
And it's just one of these things, like it's that handshake. It's such
never.
a fucking boys club. And it's like,
The boys club, and then there'd be $100 bill rolled in from guy to guy all the time because the nice male maitre d's would give the hosts a cut of that.
yeah,
I'm not exaggerating when I say I never ever got the handshake with money ever.
that's some bullshit. That is
Yeah,
some bullshit. Now, you
yeah.
mentioned, working for this celebrity chef and everything, and
Oh yeah.
I feel like nowadays that it gets thrown around a little bit. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you appeared on TV once, or you've had an article written about you, like maybe, but like if you don't have your own show on the Food Network, if you
Yeah,
don't have your own this or that, if you're not regularly going on, whatever the morning shows are, Good Morning America, and like sharing your
yeah.
thing, if you're not Oprah's chef, like the term celebrity chef is a little loose. I worked at a place
You're
recently,
right.
and they closed down for 2 weeks, and that's when I joined this team. And they had brought in this outside chef who was a piece of shit. Like, we didn't taste any of the food. It
Mm-hmm.
was like, come in, and we came in for the training because it was closed, so we're there, uh
Mm-hmm.
not really making any money, or we're there for 2 hours, and then like, well, we can't make the food because of X, Y, and Z, because he didn't prepare. And so it's like, so this week that I'm not making money, I could at least be learning things that I'm not learning. And he was just a true asshole, a piece of shit. And one of my managers, who I adore, and he's like younger than me, he was like 23.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, he got into management. I was like, you don't want this life. And it was kind of like he was my mentee and I was his mentor, and like trying to be like, this is bullshit. What they are saying to you, like, don't, like, do what you need to do to get the job done, do what you need to do to
Yeah.
pay your bills, but I need you to not fully drink the Kool-Aid. It will kill you. So we had these things, and we were always going back and forth. He's like, you're so like tough, you're so this and that. I'm like, no, I'm
Mm-hmm.
fair. I'm fair, and I've had experience, and I see how much you love this industry. I don't want you to burn out. And one of the
Yeah.
exchanges, he was talking about, well, when you're working with celebrity chefs, and I was like, I stopped. I was like, I looked to my right, I looked to my left, and I was like, what celebrity chef? He's like, oh, Chef Jason. Well, I'll call him Chef Jason because that's his fucking name. Chef Jason, he's a celebrity chef. And I was like, I've never seen him on TV. He's like, no, but he's well respected, and he's a celebrity chef. And I said, listen, baby, I want you to Google him, and I want you to Google me, and I want you to show the side by side results, because I have sold out more venues across this country. I have won more awards than this chef, and I bet you there are more interviews and reviews about my performance and what I've accomplished than what this jackass did. So when you say celebrity chef, bitch, I'm your celebrity server. So don't you get it twisted.
Yes.
But like when you're
Yes.
walking in with these celebrity chefs, and it's like, just because I'm not on stage now doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean that I'm not somebody on somebody's deathbed. And I know this is a reach. This is a reach, but on somebody's deathbed, they'll still have a memory of seeing you on stage, of coming to see you at Green Room 42, of seeing you in a little night music in San Francisco. You're part of people's memories. And just because I'm not on stage now doesn't mean that I'm not no one. So I need you to get
Yeah.
that celebrity chef shit in check. What has been your experience or biggest like upset about working with celebrity chefs?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like, what could they do
Let me
better?
see. What could they do better? Uh, oh, well, I mean, a lot of times and when there's been they don't quite understand that we have a very short amount of time to get people's attention and to describe their brilliant special. Okay? We have a short moment at the table as a server in order to be a salesman to this creation that they're so proud of. When they do a pre-shift and they present their special, I can very, very, very few chefs know how to describe it in a way that they're giving me the information that is important to get a person to pick it. So this is part of why I was so good at selling specials, is I know how to rewrite. I know cadence and music, and I can figure out which words are colorful, which words are like, that is too much information. If I use that word, if I describe the sauce with that, nobody's going to know. And then I'm going to lose them. They'll be like, what? So sometimes they would give us an ingredient. I was like, that is not the ingredient to mention because it requires a definition. So what ingredients can actually describe the experience to get them to pick it?
Mm-hmm.
So I just would see other servers writing down what they're saying. And I was like, sometimes I would be like, don't say that. Don't say, but she's just trust me on this. Don't say that. But if you don't have a know-it-all server that's a really good salesman standing next to you, then the rest of your team, they would get so upset the next day. Like, nobody fucking told any of my specials. Do you know, they come here for my specials and then you don't turn them because you didn't describe them in a way that would allow us to sell them. So anyway, that's my biggest frustration.
Yeah, that happens
Learn to talk about
so
your food.
much.
Learn to talk about your
And
food.
and also just the like, I fucking hate menu tours and stuff like that. Like when you get to the table and you have so much information to get to them, it's like no, but it's the same thing when that person comes up to me at the bar and is like, blah, 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 can you do this? It's like
Yeah.
when you approach a table, you don't want to be hit with, hi, welcome. What kind of, what do you want? Sparkling, flat? Do you want this? We have a source this and da da da. And here's our menu. This is our menu tour, and we have to get all of it all at once and da da. And chef really prizes himself on this, and he's known for that. And it's just like, and this was the same chef I'm talking about had a
Mm-hmm.
specific way he wanted, and it was like a 2-minute spiel, and
Yep.
he
Yep.
was never happy with, he'd like ask us, sell me on this and sell me on that, and it's like, baby, this is what I do. I can sell a dish, I can paint a picture because that's my job. And he would always challenge the servers, and then he'd be like, well, time him doing it and time me doing it, and he would get under oh, hold on. Oopsies, we had a little glitch with technology and Wi-Fi. That happens. But don't worry, we got it all figured out and all fixed, and it only gave us more to talk about. So right now, go drink a glass of water, finish your coffee, do whatever you need to be doing, and don't forget to come back next week to hear the rest of this amazing interview with my friend, the extremely talented Lianne Marie Dobbs. Until then, this week, just remember Jack Barthollet, our guest from last week, is performing at the Arts Project at Cherry Grove on July 24th at 8 p.m. His show Cabaret. Please, if you are on Fire Island, if you're thinking about going to Fire Island this week, go see Jack and hear one of the most beautiful tenor voices you have ever heard in your life. You will not regret it. You will thank me, and when you get there, tell him Large Marge sent you. And thinking ahead, San Francisco, August 23rd at Feinstein's at the Nico, Lianne Marie Dobbs is bringing her show, her dusty Springfield tribute, The Windmills of My Mind, to Feinstein's at the Nico, August 23rd at 8 p.m. You can go to feinsteinssf.com to get your tickets now because it will sell out. All right. Love ya, mean it, and all of that. We will see ya and hear ya next week. Tough Shift was created and hosted by Sean Patrick Murtagh. It was recorded on Riverside and distributed with Buzzsprout. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review and maybe a comment or two. And remember, tough shifts build character, and character is what brings your story to life.